And what are you doing now?
Oh, we're live. Hello. Welcome to the While We're Recording podcast, the show where we talk about anything and everything except the Dresden Files. I am your host, Andreas. I am joined by your other host who brought to show up, Alex. And we're talking about nothing in particular today. Right now, I am messing with my new Nimbot device, which is a label printer. It's probably a little hard to see with the lighting and a white box. It looks like this.
And why do you have a label printer?
Because I am reorganizing my kitchen later. So I want to label things so that they have a spot where things go, and the people I live with can see this is where I want them to go. That's the plan, anyway.
Okay. I mean, you do live with other people, so perhaps that is reasonable. Versus, I mean, labels would just be for me, really, if I were to do something like that in my kitchen.
Your husband doesn't use the kitchen?
No, not really.
He's not into cooking.
No, it's kind of where I go to make messes and sometimes have fun. But
make messes and have fun. That does sound like my kitchen. It's always messy and fun.
Yeah, and I know where things are, and so I don't really worry about labels, except for when I have large Tupperware things of like all of the different kinds of flour. Those I will label. Or the different sugars.
That's also a plan. Like put things in some boxes and label that, and like shelves where things should go. And I want to take everything out from everywhere, and then like have the cupboard over by the cooking area, like over like above the where the stove and stuff is. Be like, this is where open stuff go, and then over here in the big we have like a big pantry, not a pantry, but a big cupboard or whatever. We call it escape, which is like a cupboard, but it's like tall. Cupboards are not tall, right? I don't know. But yeah, we have that, and that's where like storage I want storage to go, like unopened stuff, oils.
I call that a pantry. I mean, yeah, the storage of things that you're not actively using a whole lot. I'd call that a pantry.
Yeah, but the way I see a pantry is usually like it's like walk-in, I guess, kind of like when I see it in the American TV shows, but that might just be
the rich people
stereotype or rich people.
Yeah, if I had a walk-in pantry, I'd fucking love it. But like the pantry is just kind of what I end up referring to is all of this food we have in storage, whether or not it's in a cupboard or a box or whatever.
Yeah. Well, so I want to sort that. Have all because I'm trying to buy more long shelf life ingredient stuff, so we have them. So like when I'm like, okay, I have to cook something, which I have every day, but like didn't exactly plan anything special. What do we have? Got some cans of tomato. We got some this, got some that, and then just throw it together. So need to make room for that because it's kind of just messy and people things just kind of like haphazardly thrown in.
Oh yeah, a couple times a year have to go through, pull everything out of the cupboards, and then like put them back in I struggle with the way that uses the space most efficiently versus the way that I can most efficiently get it out of the cupboard. Because if that is difficult, it's not happening.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like my roommates are like, why does this machine have to be standing out? We couldn't just put it away. We don't use it that often. And I'm like, we could, but then I probably just won't use it because then I have to go get it.
There's that, yeah, like the thing that I'm going to access often has to be up front and easily grabbable versus like in a space that makes more sense for it. Like, oh, there's like a nook back in the real back far that I can't reach. It's exactly like the right space for it. It's just like, no, I can't use it, and therefore it's not going there.
Yeah, it's like if it's too troublesome to get out and stuff, or it stands in a where it would be too troublesome to use. It's like when I sit there, it's like, okay, I could use the pressure cooker right now. But then I have to get it out of the cupboard, and it's like pretty heavy. I don't want to do that. Yeah. I'll do something else.
This is why my makeup is all over the counter instead of like in an organized fashion in drawers and put away. Partly also is if I can't see it, then I won't remember that I have it.
Yeah.
Which leads to me possibly like buying
my
more.
Object permanence is not great either. That's also a thing. It's like, oh yeah, that we have that. That's right.
So I have to figure out new ways of like making sure that, especially something that matters in terms of colors, like, oh, I have this thing. I should figure out a way to use it and not buy 3 lipstick of the same color or same variation of colors from different manufacturers of just because I already have the thing.
So, what's your like favorite kitchen thing you have in your?
My favorite is probably my stand mixer. I don't use it very often, but it is just my favorite thing.
I like my stand mixer. I don't use it that often either. I should use it more, like when I make anything baking. It's good for that, and it's also very good for when you make like meatballs, stuff like it's just like stirring the thing. But my favorite thing's probably my Mac knife. I think
I have one
really
knife that's
good.
pretty good, and it is definitely the one that I gravitate to a lot in terms of like a few others, but they don't feel as precious to me. They feel more replaceable.
This one I'm really happy with. I have other knives, but this one's like it's a really good knife. They're Japanese. They're like I didn't want the one that was like it has like kind of like a black. It's not Teflon, but like a coating that makes it less sticky, which is cool. I really don't want it, but it was like on sale, so it was like half price of all the other knives. But I've been very happy with it.
The good knife that I have is from Victorinox, which is I know maybe costs like $200. It's good.
Sure.
It's one of those things that like my husband can he can sharpen over time, and we can keep it for a long period of time rather than it's basically disposable, and in a year we need to replace it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I should learn. I have bought a sharpening stone, but I have yet to have the courage to do it because I feel like I can fuck it up. I don't know if you can fuck up a knife by like if you do it wrong.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
Probably.
I'm sure you can.
Well, other than that, like, what is like, we just got an air fryer. That's been cool. We had to get it because our oven broke and our super still haven't fixed it.
Okay, so I was just about to ask, what's the point of an air fryer when you have an oven? Because I have no problem just turning on my oven. I don't know what people are really getting other than the fact maybe it's quicker than heating up a whole oven.
Okay, so to compare it to an oven, it's I would say okay. So I can make less in it because it's not as big, but the upsides are it is faster, it is more precise, it is more consistent in its like cooking. It's if you have the one like mine with like different settings, it can like do quite a few things. It can even like do how do you say for dehydrate is the word I'm looking for. Have not done that yet, but could be fun to try. But like mainly it's because we have an oven that does not work.
Yeah, no, that's a perfectly good reason to get another mini oven to function. I do tend to fight myself on like how much I want kitchen appliances with how much space I will not spend, or like I'm not going to have a single use appliance, maybe a pasta maker, but you know that's a pasta maker, so that's special. But
I would love like a pasta roller at least because I've tried making homemade pasta before. I can't roll it out thin enough. Like as soon as you boiled it, it became super thick.
Yeah, and so I've not gone the steps yet to try to make homemade pasta, but I would if I had a roller for that, I would. But yeah, single use appliance I try to avoid. So like the stand mixer can do so many things. Of course, it's going to do a lot of stuff. Or like the slow cooker, it does slow cooking, but I can use it on so many different types of like stews and yeah, it's like a pot. It does its thing.
Yeah, I have an Instant Pot and it's very good. I even tried making yogurt in it.
Don't have an Instant Pot either because again, I can just have a pot.
But... Yeah, but the Instant Pot is like that's my slow cooker and everything. The only thing I can't get right in it is making rice. So we have a rice cooker that's like cheap and works.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's just I can't never get they either it's like they're always too wet. I feel like for some reason in the Instant Pot.
Okay, I do have a sort of special rice cooker Zojirushi is the brand to go for, just so you know.
Is that the one with the elephant?
Yes, it is.
It's
Zo
very.
means elephant.
I can't convince my roommates. They say it's like
Do it.
6 times the price of a normal rice cooker.
Yeah, but it is the one that everyone says is standard, or like the best one to go for a reason. It's not going to be wet afterwards. It's going to let your rice cook. And I even have like one of the basic models, and so it doesn't have like all of the buttons and like the neural fuzz thing. And
I know. I mean, I'm telling them like Joshua Weissman uses it. They've seen him. Uncle Roger says it's the best, but they're still like, no, it's 6 times the price of a normal rice cooker. We're not getting that.
if I can swing getting an upgrade of something that is perfectly reasonable and it doesn't cost me too much to ship mine to you, I'd give you my old one.
Oh,
But
I wish, but I think it's like, from what I remember from when Jacob have sent me stuff, is like, and then this is a heavy appliance, so it'll probably be more. He sent me some books some point, which was a fair amount of weight, and I think it was like $40 to send it to me or something.
I don't know. If you find that worth it, here, Merry Christmas. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, it might even be more expensive than that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe we can figure something
find out. But it's like, I'd love an excuse to get the fancy version of the Zojirushi that I already
the
love.
thing is, this guy over in Denmark needs one, right, honey? So he'll take ours, and we'll get the fancy one. It's totally not because I want the fancy one. It's just like he really needs it. It's like, yeah, that makes sense.
This isn't absurd and unreasonable.
No. I mean, it can sing the song of its people. That's what Joshua Weissman always says. Let the rice cooker sing the song of its people, and it has a specific sound it does. This the one with the elephant, like when it's done.
Right. See, that's probably the ones that I want, because the one that I have is just like, it has literally just one button that's a flip. Like, it's press down to cook, and then it pops up when it's just keep warm, and that's it.
Okay.
So
yeah, his has like 8 buttons or something.
That's probably the one that I want. But Zojirushi is a brand that I really like. It's like one of like a coffee thermos, and it seems really well made. Yeah, that is actually my husband's, but I might be stealing it shortly.
I mean, generally, the Japanese make good stuff, right? Like, my knife is Japanese. It's like the best knife I've ever had. Yeah. I believe that's also, they are Japanese, right? That brand? Yeah.
Zojirushi is. Yeah.
But when I see there's like I watch a fair amount of like this is a guy called Paolo from Tokyo, and he goes like behind the counter at like different local foodstuffs or a day in the life of X profession in Japan, and it's like, I mean, they work too much and they have way too much of an expectation to how much you should work. I think, but goddamn, do they put their heart and soul into what they do? Like, there is like no detail missed, and almost no matter what profession he sees, or if I see some other, like where they go and check out some like some really expensive soy sauce, like how long and how much care they put into making that fucking outrageously priced soy sauce.
Yeah, if I can have something Japanese made, I would love to have it, because like, in particular, when I was searching for like a good coffee thermos, everything was made in China. And I just have, maybe it's a personal defect of mine, but I have an issue with trusting the quality of something made in China.
I mean, that's a stereotype that's often true, but also, your phone's probably made in China and it's fine.
Yeah, but that's different than something I'm drinking from.
This is also made in China. That's been great.
Oh, yeah. Totally. Everything is. Anything that has that type of that metal thermos thing with something else on the outside. And so the only one I could find that wasn't made in China was the Zojirushi, and it was like made in, maybe it's Taiwan instead. I'll take it. Or some of it might actually be
Taiwan, also known as Better China.
Yeah, I'll take it. Some Zojirushi products probably are made and built inside of Japan, and then there was other things else, maybe in Vietnam or Thailand. I couldn't remember which ones, but that was the only brand I could find that would explicitly tell me that it was not made in China, versus everything else was like, if they either don't say it or they will just explicitly say it was made in China. And I don't trust the quality of the things coming out of that, is when it comes to metal things that are going to hold my drinks.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a European thing, but I think everything has to be like made in. It has to say where it's been made.
Yeah. Although without having to buy the thing myself, I'm basically looking on Amazon pages or product websites, and that's where they're able to kind of sort of hide the information.
Aha, made in China.
Oh yeah.
Almost if I grab anything randomly here, it'll probably say made in China with it's like electronics and stuff at least.
Oh yeah.
Made in China. But you don't feel the need to label your things because you're the only one who uses it. I'm also the only one who uses it, but except when the other guys get impatient for food or the mess and they clean up, but then it goes in the wrong place. Therefore, solutions. This. So, what else have you been doing this week other than
See.
stress and work?
Yeah, there's been a bunch of work. I've been playing some of Persona still. I have a notebook to keep track of what I'm doing because I had to restart my playthrough.
Why?
Because I was following a guide specifically with the hopes of being able to do all of the character side quests correctly, and it fucked up. And it didn't tell me to do something at a crucial time when I need to. So it was like exactly the thing that I wanted to avoid happened. And so I restarted and I'm following a different guide and I'm marking down everything that I've done. And it is one of the nerdiest, girliest things I've ever done.
Don't forget to check out that game at some point just to see Tales of Arise I told you about a couple weeks ago. That is like the most anime game I've played.
You're going to have to probably remind me about it in a couple weeks. Because also at some point when I'm done with Persona, I am going to be playing Morrowind, and I am like making plans of what that's going to be, and also more notebooks because it turns out that's a really fun way to play video games.
Does that have like an enhanced edition Morrowind?
Well, what do you mean by enhanced?
I mean, like where they just like updated it so they can go higher resolution stuff like that.
I don't know. I'm sure there's mods that have done something of that. I'm gonna have to look into it. At this point, I'm basically just looking at pretty pictures and riding on nostalgia.
Well, there's a Game of the Year edition, but that's probably not updated for like higher resolutions and stuff.
Yeah, that's an old Game of the Year edition.
Yeah, 2002.
Yeah,
Just looking at Steam here.
It's as to whatever is going to be higher resolution or allow like a large monitor for it. I'm gonna have to try to find something like that, as well as I probably just want some mods to make things pretty.
Now that I went to look at Morrowind, it was like games you've played that are similar. Hogwarts Legacy. I was like, man, I should finish that game. I had to stop because something with my computer went wrong. Got a different GPU, couldn't run it, and now that I got a whole new computer with a really good GPU, I should like just play it from the start again. I mean, it's a pretty decent game, pretty good game. Nothing super spectacular, but it lets me live that dream of being a Hogwarts student that I had since I was like 12. I mean, it's, that's just like Harry Potter is just. Before Harry Potter, I only read comic books. Then I had vaguely heard about Harry Potter, and then like I was like, we went to the doctor. I was sick, and then on the train station they were selling the first Harry Potter book, and I was like, "Mom, can I have this? I heard about this." And she's like, "Not gonna read it." Like, I promise I'll read it. I heard it's really good. And then I got it, and the day after, I was like, "Mom, I want the next one." I read it in a day.
Harry Potter was a good access point for me to start getting to read. When the first movie had come out, I was like 7, 8 maybe. And I saw the movie. I said I had wanted to see it again. And my mom was just like, huh. And then she went and got me the books. She started like trying to get me to actually engage with books and not just wanting to watch the movie over again. And so she started reading it out loud to me until I was able to like, wait, the books and movie are different. There's more in the books. And then it just like, I was hooked from there.
So when the first movie came out, that means there was 5 books out, I think. Can that be right? Let's see. When did her first Harry Potter movie come out? 2001. And Harry Potter books. Let's see. When did they come out?
I think they started in the 90s.
Yeah, fourth one came out in 2000. So, and fifth one 2003. So the first movie came out between 4 and 5. That seems about right. That's what I remember. When I started, this was before the first book came out, and I read I believe Up to Goblet of Fire was out as well. So matches. I never had much of an experience with that whole fandom thing. The closest thing was I started I was in like I was like 18, 17, 18, and this was book. Which one is Dolores? And that's book 5. So movie 5 came out, and I went with some people I met at school there to go watch them like a pre-premiere, and that was really fun. I've never really experienced anything like that before in like a movie theater where people are just like cheering and jeering and clapping and really getting into it, and that was like a really cool experience. That's the only time I ever really went to something like where like it was like very specifically fandom first, fandom now kind of thing. I didn't go to midnight releases of the books. I just went and bought them whenever.
Yeah, I never really did any of that either. None of the midnight releases. I don't think I ever saw movies with other people that were really into fandom. Like, honestly, I don't remember caring about the movies too much, other than like I would get them, but it didn't need to be on the day of or anything like that. I think my dad tried to take me to one of the movies once when it was being screened with subtitles because he's deaf, and he's never engaged in the stories ever. He just took me because it was something that we could do together, and he knew it was a thing that I enjoyed. And he walked out so confused. I don't remember which movie it was either.
It's funny how I got invited. So I think it was like some of the classmates there were like really into Harry Potter. I didn't know. There was like the guys that talked to the most. It's like I was kind of like an edgy emo kid, and they were more nerdy. I was very nerdy. They just like it was also an education for software development, right? So we're all nerdy. But I was like when I was like just walking with the. I think I was rereading for the 20th time, and I was at book 4, and I was walking with book 4 under my arm, and they were like, "Wait, you read Harry Potter? We didn't know you were into that kind of thing." It's like, yeah, I've read it like 20 times. Oh, we're going to the midnight premiere. You want to come?
Yeah, I didn't know you liked this thing that it was extremely popular and took over all of modern culture for like 10 years.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't seem like the type. I don't know. I don't know what the type is, but they were surprised. But it was like it was fun. It's funny how a couple of years later when the last book came out, that was also my first entry into. Okay, so don't tell J.K. Rowling this, but I was like really poor at the time, so I couldn't afford to go buy the last book right away. So I got the audiobook because I didn't like reading on screens, and I got it maybe not legally. I do own it now. I can show it. Don't get me. Don't get me. Like I have it. And that was like my first entry into audiobooks. I was like, this is pretty good. I like this.
My first real engagement with audiobooks, like there's been a few I had when I was a kid, and including the Harry Potter stuff, but as an adult was when I didn't have White Knight, and I was reading Dresden Files, and I was poor and in college, and I signed up for Audible to get a free Audible credit to get White Knight on audiobook so I could just continue reading the Dresden Files, and from there I was hooked. In terms of the audiobooks, I had to like after the first couple of minutes of like that's not the voice I quite pictured, and then that was just it. Everything was audiobooks after that.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, I own a fair amount of books, and I do try to. That's also why I buy. I usually buy. I go buy used books a lot. Like all this is like a lot of it's used, or big book like boxes of book sales, like 7-8 books up here I got for like €15, which is close to $15. They're close to each other ish. Because I want to like encourage myself to actually sit down and read more than just listen. But I very much fall into the trap of mostly listening. I used to read a lot, but it's like I don't have the same fucking attention span that I used to like for reading. It's a lot harder for me to sit down with a book and read than it is to listen to an audiobook when I'm in bed or listen to an audiobook while cooking or something.
Yeah. Audiobooks do, I mean, podcasts as well, just of like I
Yeah.
can be listening to something while doing other things that are necessary to happen, like cooking or cleaning or packing or whatever. And so that keeps me going because if I'm just listening to music while doing that, I tend to get kind of mentally bored. But if I'm listening to some form of narrative of any kind that helps me stay more going, um, yeah, but like there are some things of reading books. I need to read the book first so I can see how words are spelled. Because if it's like, especially if it's a high fantasy book and I don't know how anything is spelled, it's like I cannot grasp what these words are.
I've had to. This is kind of like dangerous because like going through. I'm a fair bit behind now, but I did do all of Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere. There's a fair amount of made up words there.
Yeah.
So it was like kind of dangerous going googling and see trying to guess the spelling, then get it right, see what the spelling was, so I could like see it, but then also try to not get spoiled by the wikis. It was like knife's edge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem. And so in some fashion, if it's a new and it's a fantasy book, I will probably try to read it physical or Kindle or whatever first. And then if I like that enough, I'll try to get the audiobook. It's rare for me to feel good enough to just go into audiobook without doing that. And honestly, for some reason, those ones that I have done, it was just as a one-off to see what it's like. I regretted it, but that's like at least one of them is I actually just didn't like the book, and the other one I just realized I have to read this thing physically, and I've never gotten around to doing it.
I've definitely done mostly audiobooks for the past, over a decade now. With sporadically, there's some series that was like I'm only reading this. One of them being Sanderson's like here, his young adult fantasy, not fantasy, sci-fi. This one, Skyward, and I read the first two, and I have the third, but I haven't gotten around to the third, even though it's really interesting. Just because I said, "Oh, I'm only gonna read it," and I haven't gotten myself through. And like the fourth one's come out or coming out very soon, and I still haven't gotten to the third one, which I really should. One of the reasons I actually picked, I'm gonna take it out again. One of the reasons I actually picked Sanderson's is because even when you buy them in Europe, you get this floppy paperback, which you usually, it's rare you get this format in Europe. And I really like this format, the floppy paperbacks. It's my favorite to like actually read. Usually you get more like let's see here, more like this, like more thick, less GIF. It's not as floppy. Has a different sound even when you do this. It's just not as enjoyable to read.
Interesting. No. I can make do with whatever kind of book.
Yeah, I've seen. You don't really care. You've talked about this before, I think.
Pros and cons to every kind of bookbinding, really.
Yeah. I like these even less. The very small ones. What's this format called actually? Like the Dungeons and Dragons ones, like these. It's like a full A4 page. I guess.
I have no idea. I guess I would just call it a hardcover. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like bigger than comic books because, like, my Dresden's like kind of. Maybe this is an A4 page actually. Do you know if like is that a European measurement or is that like universal?
I don't remember which measurement A4 means. That might be the most basic, but you got to tell me if
A4
like
is normal printer paper.
so. Okay, 8.5 by 11 inches. That's how I can identify it, basically.
Yeah, let's see, A4 page. What does it say? What is that in inches? I get it in millimeters here. Fuck.
Not even centimeters. They have to go all the way down to millimeters.
Yeah, it's 297 millimeters height by 210 width. So that would be 2 centimeters, 10 inches, or millimeters. I don't know. I also like I try to get that's nothing. I want to read more self-taught books, and sometimes they're not an audiobook or they're really slow. So I get a physical copy, like the Sword of Kaigen here, which I got 3 years ago and I still haven't read it.
Yeah, I have several. I don't remember how many Christmases it was ago, but you gifted me Circe by Madeline Miller. It's
Yeah.
still sitting on the shelf over there. I still haven't read it.
I gave you Circe the same time I gave you the first Gideon book.
Yeah, that is true. And I know which one I've read multiple times and which one I haven't.
Yeah. Maybe Greek mythos is just not your thing after all.
I don't know if it's a Greek myth. I think what I'm not sure if I'm in a mind space for is some form of what's a good word? This is probably going to get me into trouble. Some form of like sappy yet feminist struggle story.
Yeah.
That's what I've gotten an impression about that book, and I just like, give me necromancers
in space.
Yeah, with memes.
Yeah, man, what are those books? They're something. Do you know how long until we're getting the next one? Is it next year?
I think so. I think that's the last I've heard. That it'll be sometime 2025.
Is it like Harry Dresden? We're gonna get him next year too. You think?
The last thing I ever saw was somewhere on the subreddit was Jim said something at one of the conventions that he's going to try to have it delivered to the editor or publisher in beginning of July. And then hopefully 6 months after that, it comes out. So we'll see. We can hope that we can get one next year.
Pray?
And then we'll have content. Content is good.
New content? I still can't believe when I went to what we were talking about with Justin or whatever it was on the Discord. By the way, guys, if you support us on Patreon, you get access to our Discord. It's been like 4 years almost since we got the 2 books. And I was like, how long was it between those 2 and what was it before that?
It's like 7 years.
It used to be every year.
I know, yeah, but we got Skin Game, and then we started the podcast, yes. And then all the way up until 2020 was that we had to wait to get new books. I mean, we did get Aeronaut's Windlass in the middle of that, but
yeah, it's been. Yeah, my friend who I got to read Dresden was like, he's at Skin Games now, if not the next book. Peace Talks. Last time I checked in, and then we were talking, and I was like, "Yeah, soon you're at me. You can start waiting for the next." He's like, "Wait, you got me to read a series that's not done? There is 18 books and it's not done." Like, yeah, no, it's not done. I thought I said that. What the fuck? So yeah, now he's gonna be playing the waiting game with me soon.
And he can join in on the tinfoil thing.
Yeah.
Theories. How dare you, Cody?
What We're not. What, I thought you were hiding the spinning wheels and the like we were running in when we go live. What do you mean? They can see us just trying to stretch it out. What you don't like the casting? You don't think that making the TV show one episode stretch into like
Basically, a
five is good?
reread in disguise.
Ugh. I don't know what you mean. I think that's new original content.
It's a slightly new angle on an old argument, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I can always talk about Dresden for a bit. But we have actually been thinking about like behind the scenes stuff here in the know here in the super secret while we weren't recording. Nobody watches here about like splitting it up so we have more 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 different things. Like so it was only 1 week is Dresden and then 1 week when we were recording, 1 week something else, 1 week something else. Where we're like kind of talking going back and forth about what those things should be, just because it's we've been doing Dresden since Skin Games came out, and we've had 2 books in that time, and it's been how long have we been doing? What is it? Is it we're getting all close to a decade?
Yeah. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
been doing it for 9 years, and so it'll be 10 years in January.
And we were supposed to have a book roughly once a year. We were supposed to kind of be almost done by now. Like
Yeah.
Listen, salad on pizza is valid. It's not
no.
going on there before you cook it. It's coming on after.
No, it's
It's not like
horrible.
when you get a sandwich.
Lettuce does not belong on pizza. Just never. Of all the vegetables to put on pizza, never, ever, ever lettuce.
If you guys ever come here, I'll show you the way why you were wrong. When you taste it, you'll be in pizza nirvana.
Well, you're never going to have good pizza unless you come to, the U.S. and Costco.
I don't know if that qualifies as good pizza, but I'm very interested in it. Just because it's like big and cheesy and pretty cheap.
Yeah, cheese can be too much on pizza sometimes.
What? Hey, yo, you take that back.
Oh, no. So there's too much cheese can make me stop eating pizza. There's one time when disastrously I got a pizza from Costco and they gave me the cheese pizza, not the pepperoni that I ordered. And I was trying to eat it anyway. And I just had to stop in the middle because it was too cheesy, too much cheese. Like I hit at a point where I cannot have more.
It's
just.
I don't think I've ever
disgusting.
had too much cheese, but maybe one day.
When I was a kid, I refused to eat cheese.
That's one of like Cody says that he's like waiting until they're all out and then he listens to the whole casting. That's we've been talking about condensing that more down, so it is more like roughly a book an episode if we split up to only doing it once a week. Actually reading the whole book before we talk, all of us, and then this would be good as a scene. This would be good. Change this, make it a bit more condensed.
Yeah, just so we're not like on the pattern of still dragging things out over and over.
Grave Peril is the most overrated book. It is?
I don't think I agree with any of the points, but it's interesting that you found it more interesting for us to be talking about it that way. You're enabling us, Cody.
What do I think is the most overrated book? I have to think about that for a second. Probably Summer Night.
I think Death Masks.
Which one's Death Mask? What's the plot?
Denarians for the first time. Paulo Ortega. Like it's not a bad book, but it does not execute it as well as I would want it to for that kind of plot. I just feel bored in the middle of it at various points that I don't in other books like Summer Night. I think Summer Night has great pacing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. A lot of people really like Summer Night, and for me, it's just kind of Old Dresden's good, but it's kind of a mid Dresden to me, which I know I'm in the minority of. That's why I say it's like kind of overrated. Hey, Cody, I kind of feel ya. 1, 2. Okay, I'm gonna include 1, 2 there as well. 1, 2, 3, 4 are all like meh on the Dresden scale for me. 5, I could also kind of follow you, but I also think that's the books after 5 would not be as good if it weren't for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because it builds up so much world.
Right. That's like,
And what I
even though
like
I
is
think
like the world growing. I think that's why I like it when it gets bigger and bigger.
Grave Peril can feel not necessarily like too long or too drawn out, but like there's so much happening. It's hard to put that into one book. I thought this wasn't a different book, but wait, there's just so much things happening in this one thing.
Grave Peril is like 2 books.
Yeah, but it's so important that like I don't dislike it in any way, but it's like it is so vital to the rest of the series as to why it's so good. And I don't know, something about Death Mask that just kind of like it could have been punched up a little bit more. Or maybe it's tried to stretch itself too much. I'm not sure.
I like Death Masks. I think it's a solid.
It's
not
perfect.
in my top 3 of Dresden books, but solid book. Like I think like what my top 3 has that changed? It's still Skin Games. I think it's Skin Games, Cold Days, Changes.
I think I would still do Cold Days, Changes, and Small Favor.
Small Favor is good.
Right? Honestly, it's like book 6 and on, they just get really, really, really good.
I don't know. Cold Days just fucking so much. Like there's so many big reveals. It's like it's so tightly plotted. The pacing. It's like we're getting Harry back into the swing of things. Like everything's just, I don't know. And I can't.
Cold Days
Skin Games is so good. Like it's like the whole Ocean's 11 thing kind of. I love it. I love Hades in it. I love again like. It's a Denarian book in a good, the best possible way. It's the best Denarian book.
Yeah. Right. Well, I don't know. Small Favor is still really good. But I have to say, Death Mask is the worst Denarian book we've gotten so far.
Yeah. There's just so many good books. It's hard to choose. And then not even counting short stories, right? Like the Bigfoot short stories are really good. I love the Jury Duty one.
Jury Duty's good.
I love the one where we get the triple point of view and where one is mouse. Some of the older ones good, like Aftermath. Who doesn't like Aftermath other than EG?
Just because it's Murphy.
I don't actually know if he likes it or not. I can't remember, but I assume he does not because it's Murphy.
Yeah, probably. But it is a good one in seeing really important things that you can't see from Harry's perspective.
I've been struggling finding a new book to get into. I've been doing a lit RPG novel, which was okay, but I just didn't feel like continuing to the second one right now. I've been doing this other high fantasy book, which was okay, but I'm struggling getting through it. I'm like halfway through a third one that's like, It sounded good, but it wasn't that good when I started it. So I was like, I'll just re-listen to some Dresden, but I don't want to pick like a whole book or anything, just like something not too bad. So I went and re-listened to It's My Birthday Too. That's also, but it's got to be one of my favorite short stories.
Also a very good one. It's got vampires. It's got Thomas, even Molly.
It's got cobblers.
Yeah, the cobblers are neat.
Yeah. Nein! Do not throw it in the trash! Man. That's a good one. God, there's so much. So many good books in the world. So little time.
The struggle is to find them.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have quite a few of the good books in the world that I haven't read. Like I have a full collection. Well, not anymore. He made new books, but I heard very good things about Michael J. Sullivan's books, and I have like the full collection I got directly from the author. It was super expensive. It took 2.5 years because of COVID,
Oh
but I
God.
have them now. It was because he was doing this Kickstarter where you could get like his newest series at the time and like a bookend like case
Mm.
thing, and I got that all hardcover, and they were like 20 bucks each or something, or 25. And I usually buy my books like secondhand, so it was a lot more than what I usually pay for a book. But I got that, and then you could add on. Like you could like I wrote him, and like he's like, yeah, we can add on. Like, and then I got all the other books he's made, also signed. So I have them all signed, which is kind of cool. Wish I had all the rest signed. We should next time we have Jim on, we should like, dude, come on, like 10 years. We've gotten like no almost nobody. We're promoting the shit out of you totally to a new audience, not the people who are already loyal, right? You need to send us all like a full signed set of Dresden, right? Like, come on, brother.
Yeah, new audience, totally.
Yeah.
Our audience and his audience, one is inside the other, and
it's the Venn diagram that's like perfectly overlaps like this.
well, this probably doesn't perfectly overlap. I'm sure there's Dresden fans out there who hate us, but
sure, we have Ichi on the podcast.
Well, once in a while, there's another Dresden podcast, and they try to do something different.
Have they been going for almost 10 years? Or have they given up? I don't know. I don't follow anyone else, but I'm going to assume they've given up.
Considering I've never heard of them again, I'm going to assume that they probably stopped. The one that it still makes me laugh is the one that was like 3 women talking about the Dresden perspective with a woman's, or on the Dresden Files with a woman's perspective, and it's just like, okay, I'm not going to touch it.
I didn't even know Lincoln Lawyer were books. I enjoy the show more than the movie, Cody. I don't know if you have.
Yeah, the movie with Matthew McConaughey was pretty good. I've not read the books. I know my mom has.
I watched. I really enjoyed the show. I like this. They have this Hispanic actor, Hispanic American, I guess. He's like very charismatic, very good as the Lincoln Lawyer. Yeah, Cody, we are indeed the winners by default. By pure perseverance.
I mean, how many other Dresden Files podcasts have had Jim on 4 times, plus Marsters, at least once, right? And then we've had Priscilla.
I still can't believe I got to chat with Spike from Buffy.
I know, right?
I can't believe that happened. You go back and tell my teenage self that I got to actually sit down and talk with Spike from Buffy for an hour. You'll be like, bruh, who the fuck you? Who are you playing at?
Then I rode on that high for like a year. It's like, oh my God, look what we did.
That was pretty cool. Oh, they did an audiobook of Buffy recently. Actually, I don't feel motivated to listen to it, but I saw they released that. And yes, James is in fact doing the part of Spike. It's like almost everybody is there except Buffy.
I still don't particularly care about Buffy, mostly because I still like aggravated that it's in the genre that I should like, and yet it still grates on me every time I try to give it a shot. I just can't.
I have watched Buffy and Angel. I don't know. It must be like 10 times, all of it. Like I used to. Okay, maybe you guys can't tell, but I mean, I'm autistic, and I can read and listen and see stuff that I really like over and over again. That's why I read Harry Potter 20 times when I was younger. That's why I watched like Buffy and Angel a bajillion times. It's like if I like it, I never get tired of it. It's Stargate Stargate might be the show I've watched the most of all shows. I have rewatched Stargate an insane amount of times. It was just like my go-to. I'm doing something. I got Stargate going on the side for years. Yeah, like
I mean,
I try to be better about being like, no, I need to take in some new media instead, like some new books, new stuff. So I'm trying to not reread as much as I used to, because also Dresden, I've reread Dresden so many times.
yeah, so the thing I struggle with is I don't know if it's particularly an autistic thing. Okay, maybe it is, but it's also like there is a comfort in going to something that I know I'm going to enjoy instead of trying to stray out and find and then be bored or have my time wasted and
Yeah.
or my money wasted. And it's just like that's also a problem of like I want to read other urban fantasy because it's a genre that I love, and yet there's plenty of times when like it's just not nearly as good at
The
all.
only urban fantasy series that I have done all until a couple years ago, because I haven't like caught up on it again. That I thought was close to Dresden in quality is one called Mercy Thompson.
I've read some of those and they were okay. It just didn't do the same thing.
Hmm. It's for me. It's very much the characters feels realized and compelling. The plot in the stories are like the books are generally okay. What I remember really is like the characters very compelling, and the world building is phenomenal. It feels very real and alive.
See, that's kind of the thing that I'll disagree a little bit. I felt that the world building felt surface level.
I felt it's like super in depth.
I don't remember how many books I've read, but there was like at least like 10 or something. I don't remember. It just it
I
had a
read
feeling of it was never growing to a plot, and that is also something that I prefer out of Dresden, of the way that yes, there's a case in every book, but they're growing together into something that is larger versus somehow Mercy Thompson is always a monster per book and things felt
there are okay. I don't know how
surface level.
far you said, like 10 or so books. I don't remember exactly how far I am. I've done both Mercy and I've done the spin-off series as well, which I might even like even more. I'm not sure. Um, from what I remember, in terms of like, there's definitely progression in character relationships. Things change.
Yeah.
Uh, the world grows. Like I know for like the at the start of the books, it's like the world knows that, from what I remember, that like kind of like magical fairy creatures are real. That's like a recent thing that's come out.
Mhm.
And then it grows beyond that, where like the werewolves reveal themselves, and then it grows even further than that. Like more and more, like of the magical world becomes integrated into the normal everyday world. Uh, there's like Mercy's heritage. Her father becomes more involved in the book, stuff like that.
That's odd. I remember the book where she met him and
He
had
comes
it
back
some
again,
okay.
at least from what I remember.
Yeah, it's been
More
a
than
long
one
time
book.
since I've read the books. I still have at least one of them over in the other room. It's just, I don't know. What I liked about it is that it did the genre that I like. And I liked the characters too. Just it didn't have a sense of compelling growth of a plot.
Did you get to the
So
book
it's
where something very bad happens to Mercy? I don't want to say
yeah.
without spoiling. Yeah,
Nope, read it.
yeah.
Didn't mind it. Like it wasn't badly handled or anything like
No,
that. It just
I think and like and it affects her in the books afterwards. Like, and like it's not just a thing that happened and then it's ignored.
I think the last book I read was there some form of swamp creature or river creature or
That's
something.
when they're on their honeymoon. That might be around where I got to.
Okay.
I'm pretty
And
sure. Sounds familiar. Like
yeah,
there's a river creature. That's when they go to like a camping thing on their honeymoon.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And I
yeah.
remember the detail of like something happened. She got beat up and she had visible bruises and she went to Walmart or something to buy something. And it was like a minor problem that people thought that her husband was beating her. It's like that's okay. But like, that stood out to me as one of the markers of this book. And it just then she's going up against the creature and she was like writing letters to her husband and friends of whether she was going to die or not and that she was going to try to live. It's like I know she's going to live. I do not at any point think that she's actually going to die. And something about it just kind of felt flat. It was just a monster. It was they're going to have a resolution at the end of the book. It was not growing. It was not something that was lingering on in the future books that what why did this person just say this word starborn and what the fuck does it mean? Like it didn't have that.
I don't know. I love the relationship she has with her stepdaughter. I remember that very fondly. I love the whole pack. This is such a stupid thing to love, but I love it that they're all playing this MMO together. Almost all of them. I just think it's really funny that they have like a LAN party and stuff. Not all of them are like really into it, but a lot of them are, and it's like funny. Did you do the vampire one? There are multiple. She gets kidnapped by like the vampire in Europe or something like that. That might be after
I don't
this
remember
one.
Europe.
Okay, because that one is pretty good.
I remember there being a vampire character that had his own like coven of people or something, and then there was other like vampire higher ups.
She's still like she has like a vampire friend.
Yeah.
But there's also like a whole vampire politics thing. I think towards after the one with the water, it gets more like the water snake. I think it is, or something, that a swamp creature, or whatever you want to call it. It gets more like I think it might go in a more vampire direction. I'm not sure.
I mean, maybe at some point I'll give it another shot. But there's like you've read Rob Thurman, right? Nightlife, Caliandros, and all that.
I read some of it, and those didn't really catch me.
Right. So the first handful of those books were very much what I enjoyed. It was kind of a gritty urban fantasy something, and the characters were great. I thought the dialogue was really fun, and it had the same problem of there's always a monster. It's always resolved, but like actually it was slightly different in the fact that there was always going to be two monsters. It was whatever the case is of that book, and then there was the offie that the boogeyman that was from the beginning of the book. Even though they basically wiped out the race of monsters, and so they shouldn't come back. But there was a spinoff. There was like some illegitimate child or something that came back, and it's doing the same thing. And so it felt so cookie cutter after like book 7 that like I just stopped caring. I know it's really difficult to both do the same thing, so I know what I'm getting. I'm getting the thing that I like, but also do it a little bit different, that I'm getting something that new and story growth. It's very hard to ask for and to receive. So that's my struggle whenever I try to have a new book type.
And I mean, from the urban fantasy books that, like I said, Mercy's like stands out. Like I think that's a good one personally. There's also the Rivers of London series. Is from what I remember was pretty. I enjoyed that.
I've heard of them. And was that the Alex Vera series, or is that someone else?
So Alex Vera is something else. That's not the Rivers of London.
Okay, I've heard these names, and I've thought about reading them at some point, but it's like, am I really in a want to give it a shot kind of thing? I need to build up the gumption to do it.
Alex Vera did like 1 or 2 books off, and that didn't really catch me. I remember that. He's like a time mage or something, from what I remember vaguely. There's like a trilogy, but that one, yeah, I don't know. Like the Rivers of London, I can also recommend. It's a bit more. It's magical. There's magic, but it's more esoteric, I guess. A little bit more. It's not as hard a magic system.
Okay.
As like Dresden.
That's fine. They don't have particular demands out of magic systems other than that they make sense in whatever way that they need to make sense.
It's cool. He ends up dating a river. That's cool.
Dating a river.
Yeah, all the like a genius loci basically, but like there's like the River Thames has like two genius loci, an old one and a more new one, and then she has daughters. All the side rivers to the River Thames, they all have their own little genius. They're basically like tiny gods. That I remember, at least.
That sounds weird.
Yeah, there's like the first book. It's like the enemies, like the personification for one of. There's this British like trope or old folk tale with they do the doll where it's like this like they hit the other one on top of the head. You've ever seen that in movies? It's like like with the it's what is it called? What is it called? That's what called Rivers of London because of these river gods, I think. Took off. I can't remember what it's called. It's like a whole thing they have, like the doll that hit the other doll on top of the head with the stick. Wonder if I just Google doll hitting doll with bat troop. No, damn, I was kind of hoping.
I have to say, I'm quite confused.
It's a thing. It's a folktale in the UK. With like and I don't remember the name, but it's like a spirit of violence in the books or some such of mischief, and because people believe in it or know of it so much, it's like become real and personified, and then it takes over people, and like it has a very specific face with like a long nose and stuff, so it fucks up their face when it takes them over. So they get like when it leaves, they just have like this destroyed face because it's like held together by the magic. And it goes around and beats people up with a club, and they have to solve what and why and where. And then this guy who's like a normal police thing, who's got like he's got the talent for magic. He becomes the first magician policeman recruited into the magical police force in the UK since like the Second World War. So he moves in with this stuffy old mage who likes things done a certain way, and he's like a modern man, and there's a lot of like them butting heads a little bit. How they don't have any internet or anything like that, and like they can't really have internet because of magic or something. It's been a while since I read them. It's pretty. It is good. There's an overarching villain through all of the books who just at the point I got to, I remember, gets revealed who it is finally, like 8-9 books in. Who's behind a lot of the bad stuff. He's like a very powerful magician.
It's been on my radar. At some point I will probably give it a shot, but no promises as to when.
Instead of rereading Gideon again, check out Rivers.
I haven't reread it in a while. Don't give me ideas.
But I believe we're at an hour.
Yeah, we are at an hour. So are you going to do the plugging?
I'm going to do the plugging. This has been an episode of While We Weren't Recording. You can catch us live at 1 p.m. Eastern. Yes?
Yes.
Oh, I remembered it right. Yes. 1 p.m. Eastern. You can support us at patreon.com/brokenjars. You can watch our website at brokenjars.xyz. And check us out, like I said, live at youtube.com/the Dresden Files podcast. If you support us on Patreon, you get access to our Discord where you can participate in gift wars or tell us how wrong or right we are. Just generally tell Alex how wrong she is and how right I am, and it's all good. And I think that's all the plugs.
All right. Jonathan Albert has the answer, I guess. I'm never going to Google it to verify, but here he goes. Aunt Sally is what you're talking about.
I don't know if that's it, but I'll find out. I'll find out for next time. Comment if you join us on the Discord. I will let you know.